Time to talk business now with our partners 2 Degrees. Prices in the world's biggest economy are still rising. US inflation hitting 2.9% last month. The data out last night. Garth Bray from Business Desk here. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So 2.9 this month, and we had, what, 2.7 July?
Yeah, and so this was ahead of expectations. This is, I think, that it landed at 3.1% as core, which is where they take out the energy and food costs because they tend to fluctuate a little bit over there. And that 3.1 was expected. But you'd say, just listening to a lot of the markets and the analysts and so on this morning, it pretty much locks in, they think now, a 25 basis point cut when the US Fed meets next week to set their cash rates, but kind of knocks out that suggestion there was going to be a whopper 50. However, little coda to that, the White House has just landed an urgent application to the Washington DC courts to expedite the sacking of that Fed governor, Lisa Cook, that they're trying to get rid of because they say she's, some sort of malfeasance there with the with mortgage rates.
So still banging that drum, trying to get rid of her. But the incident, because you say no big whopper in the first go, but they are expected to cut a couple of times now before Christmas. Markets are pricing in for the Fed, right?
I think the US 10-year Treasury rate's now down to about 4.009 when it came in, so close to that 4% rate.
And all right, in terms of what this means, people in New Zealand and Kiwi land going, all right, who cares about
who's buying all that stuff? Who's buying all that red meat? Who's potentially going to buy a lot of the stuff that we make? There's impacts on our own KiwiSaver portfolios and things like that because there's so much investment in the US markets and so on. There's so many ways that this is like an octopus.
And ironically, at the moment, Wall Street was loving this morning because they're saying, well, we're going to get rate cuts and that means good things. But actually, it's a sign of weakness when you have to cut, right?
So, a little bit, and a sign, and we saw that as well with the job numbers that came through last week with big drops in those.
Our own job numbers have not been great, of course, and especially construction. Grim news and some moves to help.
Yeah, look, this came out of a Mates in Construction conference that was on this week, and some pretty hard words there around the impact it's having. They surveyed about 3,300 workers March to June. 1 in 5 had thoughts about harming themselves.
Oh, goodness me.
31 of them had actually done something about it a week, they reckon, and maybe one a week we are losing to suicide. This is terrible.
So what do you do about that?
Well, so Mates, this is an outfit that was set up about 5-6 years ago, and they run toolbox talks. They are basically making the point to these construction businesses that there's an economic cost as well as a terrible human cost of about $1.3 billion a year in lost productivity and things like that. So it's worth your time and money to actually try and offer some guidance, some help, so that if people are talking about this kind of stuff at work, they can say, hey, this is maybe where you should get some help from. So it's a little bit more than just, oh, right, mate, and carry on. So that's, I guess, a positive sign there from them.
It is indeed. All right, Garth, good to see you. Thanks so much for that. Garth Bray from Business Desk. Thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. We talk business every day.